I want to share with you the Colonial Police uniform for junior police officers. You will notice that the uniform for senior police officers, that is inspectors of police and above, has remained the same for a very long time. It is only the other time that we had the police uniform from a recruit to the Inspector General of Police wearing the same uniform. But for quite a long time, junior officers and senior officers used to put on differently. It even happened that anybody, even a primary school kid, knew that this was a senior police officer and this is a junior police officer. Today, unless you know about ranking, it would be hard for you to differentiate between a recruit and an inspector general. In other disciplines, it is only the Kenya Police Service that we had this. In all other services, they used to have the same uniform from recruit to the general. Now, let me start with the uniform. There were two types of uniform. As today there are several. Today there is Django uniform, there is ABCD. But those, then there is the ceremonial, there is working. Nowadays there are several different uniforms. But during those time, I think, if I'm not wrong, a police officer today has 5 different uniforms. And by different, I'm not saying that amepima nguo. There is the ceremonial, there is the Django, then there is a smoke, then there is a 4 or 5. But during colonial time, there used to be 2 types of uniform. I want to start with the working dress. Working dress is the clothes that a police officer or a policeman, during those days there were no police women. It's the uniform that a police officer puts on a daily basis while on duty. Now look at the cape. I don't know where they got the cape. But anybody with an idea can put it in the comment section. You can see there was the head badge has the motto Salus Populi in Latin, which was later translated into Kiswahili, utumishi kwa wote. So if you know Salus Populi, in English you can say service to the population, and in Kiswahili you say utumishi kwa wote. Below the head badge, you will notice that there is the force number, the service number. It was on the head. But when the force number increased, during those days, there used to be 4 numbers, up to 4 numbers. Used to be up to 4 numbers. So your force number would be placed on the chest. But when they became 5, and so now they are 6. Mine were 4, 41877, but now they are 6. So you find that even the ID numbers, they increase as more people are registered. So below there is the force number, and that viewer is the head badge. Not the head badge, the head dress. The head dress had the head badge and it had the force number. But when the force number became more and it could not fit the cape, that is when it was placed on the chest, and it is still there on the chest. Nowadays, they have even added the officer's name on the chest. That is the cape, which was worn both ceremonial and working dress. When that now covers what? That now covers the head dress. Now we come to the lanyard. You'll find that the lanyard was put around the neck and the whistle was tucked into the belt. The whistle was done that, simply because a person below the rank of inspector had the shirt or something like that, or the jacket in case of a ceremonial uniform, did not have pockets. Did not have pockets. So the whistle and the lanyard were placed in such a way that it went round the neck, and then the whistle was placed in the belt. So when later on, when they got the shirts, their shirts had pockets. Then they started putting on the way they do that. Hey, we will now talk about the sweater. I have a problem with both prison warder and some security companies that put on a sweater and tuck in. Sweater, just like a coat, is an outer garment. It is an outer garment which should not be tucked in, which should never be tucked in. It means that if you tuck in the sweater, then maybe one time you'll tuck in your coat. Another reason I want to say is that the sweater, or in case you're putting on a jacket, allows the belt to be worn around the stomach. You know, men put on their belts around the waist, but women put on their belts around the stomach. So police sweater and police jacket, or other, even KDF, they allow the belt to be used more than just a belt. It is worn around the stomach, just like the ladies do that, so that it can be used for attachment. It can be used for attachment, which attachment can be extra magazines, water cans, food cans, and so on. They'll place them on the belt, especially at the back of the or the back of the police officer. That is where they are, so that when you want to get you want to get more bullets, you turn this way and get it, or if you want to get water to drink, you turn that way. That is why men, when they are putting on a sweat or something, they put on the belt in the general stomach area, where women. I think you understand. That is the sweater. When it came to ceremonial occasions, they used to put on a jacket instead of the sweater. Now, in this jacket, before they put on the belt around the stomach area, there used to be a sort of a sheet, a kitamba. It would be placed round the stomach, and on top of it there would be a belt. On top of it there would be a belt, which and it used to be very hard, because that kiraka or that shuka is supposed to be in such a way that it starts from one place and ends in another place. And so you'd find somebody would use a lot of time doing that. Then from there, we go to the trouser. The trouser was starched. The trouser was starched, heavily starched. If today we still had clothes with which use starch, it would affect the price and supply of cassava. After starching and ironing the trouser, it would be like an A4 exercise book left to stand alone. It was, or it would be like, yeah, a hardboard. It would be like a hardboard. And that trouser would be ironed in such a way that if you make a slight mistake, you had to wash your trouser again and starch it afresh. Recruits or police officers used to use a lot of their time and moods and whatever on doing on that, because if you are lucky, you do it once. If you are unlucky, you do it up to 5 times. That is how the trouser was. Now we go to the stockings. We had stockings which were high up to the knees. They were called patis. Amefunga patis. Some of this dressing took a long time to put on. Yes, the socks was okay, but there was also another piece of kiraka which was placed there at the top of the socks. It had to form a certain what do you call, a certain way. If it did not, you'd repeat it several times. The way you do that stomach kitamba. They had, say, a certain pin to be in a certain place. And that pin had to be on the outer side. There were two pins. They were to be on your leg on the outer side, one on this side and one on the other side. 90 degrees. 90 degrees this way and 90 degrees the other way. Now, if it was 89 or 91, you had to redo it again. That is the problem which used to be that way. But then, there are times when even my own father had a photograph where he was barefooted without shoes. There were the supply of boots was very limited, to an extent that some ceremonies would happen without boots. So that way, a police officer would march barefooted. The police officer would march barefooted, but parties had to be placed there and parties had to fill in. So there was a certain flower-like cloth in the leg near the ankle. That is what I was saying, which was supposed to be at 90 degrees. If it was 91 or if it was 89, you had to repeat it severally. Well, let's come to shining of boots. When it comes to shining of boots, they used to shine the whole boot, but nowadays the kind of boots which are made, it is that the police officers now only shine the tip and the back. And remember, the police officers would shine the boot, the whole of it, and shine the belt. Today's police officers are junior officers, because senior officers have got a some brown which is to be shined. But nowadays they have a belt which look like the Kenya prison belt, which does not need shining. So shining used to be a problem even up to my time. Last and not least, it was the gun. Those days they used to use the Mark 4 gun, caliber number .303, and they used to have something that is called slope arm. Slope arm is where you have your gun, your rifle on your shoulder. Uganda still practices that, and then since the gun is on your shoulder, it forms something like a figure 4. But our APs had stopped using slope arm in 1978, but the Kenya Police Kiganjo stopped using slope arm and started using G3 in February 1983, and I am a proud I nearly said proud on. I'm a proud participant in the initial usage of a G3, where they use, instead of using slope arm, they use shoulder arm. Viewers, if you are not in the disciplined forces, you will need to have a person from the disciplined forces to translate my English into English. But just like young people out there say that I teach them a lot of Kenyan history, I have met a lot of young police officers, including GSU officers, who have learned a lot. If you ask them who is the single person who has taught you history of the GSU, they'll obviously mention me. And I'm thankful to all of you. May God bless you.